This trip to the historic quay at Hartlepool gives children the opportunity to experience and see things that you just couldn't bring into the classroom.
We're going to go around the Trincomalee, where we can see actually life on board ship. And then the day will finish with a workshop involving a variety of writing styles.
Welcome on board the ship. What's the name of the ship? Trincomalee. There we are. She was built in India, and she was built by the master shipbuilder Jamsetji Bamanji Lauji Wadia.
The trip creates the opportunity for these children to experience the sound and the feeling of gunfire close at hand. It's quite scary, actually.
This is a flintlock pistol, and the way it works is there's a spring in there in the hammer. When you pull that back, the flint strikes against that and makes a spark. Now we go to a musket, and it's a lot heavier and it can throw a ball a lot further. So, in order to fire this, you need at least 2 teeth to open the cartridge. We find it open, and then we pour into the pan. Close the pan, bring it about as it's called, and then we put the rest of the powder in.
Brace yourselves. Nobody jumped except me. It's all very well saying, you know, the gun's made a noise, but when you hear the noise from a single pistol.
So we're making sure the cannon's empty. When it makes a nice squeak, it means there's nothing in it.
What do you do if it's not empty?
Right, that worm thing acts like a corkscrew. So if you keep turning it, you'll get anything out that shouldn't be in there. Right, are we ready? No. 1, 2, 3, shoot! Yeah?
The whole experience within that quay and seeing these artefacts just can't be recreated in the classroom. You certainly can't recreate a cannon firing and a gun firing close by as they do in here.
To challenge somebody to a duel, it was known as throwing down the gauntlet. And what you would do is this.
So I need to accept his challenge now, don't I?
The year is 1852. The Trincomalee has just left Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, or the Sandwich Islands as it was then called. Now, you've been at sea for about 4 months. You haven't seen anyone at home in all that time. I want you to write a letter home, telling about all the exciting stuff you've seen and all the fun stuff you've done.
Because the experiences at this quay inspire the children, they knuckle down and do some creative writing. They are all enjoying it, writing from first-hand experience.
To make it, you know, live, you want not only the factual side, but you want emotions, feelings. Anybody reading that should be able to smell the ship.
Dear Mother, I am missing you dearly, although I am enjoying myself. I have had the most exciting journey, unlike anything I have ever experienced. I have seen the cool blue tropical waters and exotic birds. I have spotted the palm trees across the horizon and felt the warm breeze of Sandwich Islands across my cheeks.
I think that secondary children need a very definite focus, and they actually need to know what's in it for me. Why am I doing this? What is the purpose of this? And therefore the academic bias that's given during this trip helps to bring them back to reality and what they're actually there for.
I've had lots of exciting adventures. The ship is terrible to be on, and smells bad and is very crowded.
Tears stung my eyes and I felt warm water for the first time in years. I hope to see you soon. Love, always, George.
The written tasks that they were given to do produced some excellent responses. They've learned how to use historical fact, but combine it with the feelings of the sailors on board ship.
This is a fantastic trip to the Roman Legionary Museum in Caerleon. It is the site of some fantastic Roman remains.
We take the classes on trips quite often in our department. We've chosen Carleon, the Roman Legionary Museum, because partly it's not too far away, it's only 2 hours away, and it is one of the best sites that we've seen for teaching about the Romans. It has 4 sites and it's quite varied. You've got some sites outside, you've got the museum, you've got the Roman baths, and it really is a fun-packed day. The children don't get bored, there's something going on all the time, and it's a really good example to highlight some of the things that we're doing in school. Organisation and preparation is the most important thing. You need to go through exactly what you want to do, what the children are going to get out of the visit, and how best to use the site that you're going to.
It is quite possible, with very careful planning, spot-on timing and delegation, that very large numbers of students can be taken out of school safely and effectively.
It's essential that you organise your groups before you arrive, so that when you get here the children know who their team leader is, who their group leader will be, where you're going. It would be chaos if you came with 130 kids and then you were trying to group them while you were here, so no, it must be done at school. Holly, James and Toby, you are counted by me. Okay.
You, Group 1, will be with your teacher. You're going through that door out there and you are going to enter into our barrack room. I know you haven't been here long today. Can anyone tell me what is a barrack room?
My name is Heidi and I work here at the Roman Legionary Museum. I deal with the school visits that arrive here, and my role really is to sort of facilitate and do role-playing with them. It's basically where they get a chance to dress up and have a bit of fun, really.
Move it! Come on! Move it, move it. Come on.
The feedback we get from them is instant. They enjoy it. Everything that they've seen throughout the day is sort of brought to life with costume interpretation, role play. You know, they get a chance to dress up as soldiers, as masters, as slaves. They're serving food, they're lying in a barrack room. It's all brought to life to them in this session, everything.
Could we please have a round of applause for the entertainment? What you need to do is just pick up the sailor, pop it in the mouth and eat it in one.
An outdoor trip requires even greater planning, and contingency plans should our wonderful English weather turn inclement.
If it rains, and it rained last year, then we get wet. If it's really bad, then we can perhaps spend longer in the inside areas. But generally, we're only outside for half the day, and if we get wet, we get wet.
I've loved it because it's great looking around at all the interesting things about history and seeing the way it's all changed.
Reading about it, you don't get the full picture and stuff like that. But when you actually go to the places, you can see what they did, and you can see the actual size of it and all the detail.
The trip was really good today. They got loads out of it. They've had a thoroughly good day, and they've learned an awful lot, which we can actually take back to the classroom.
This is a trip to the Bolton Museum Aquarium, and it highlights the necessity sometimes for teachers to step outside their comfort zone.
We have a policy in the art department. We do as much observational drawing as possible, first-hand observational drawings. This is a perfect example of actually using real objects to draw from and using artists in our curriculum. We're starting a new project this term based on sea creatures, so this was perfect for the timing that we wanted to come.
To be able to study alongside the students with an expert and look at different aspects of the art and the subject that you are immersed in is so refreshing and reinvigorating when you get back to the classroom.
Well, the first activity this morning is to get the pupils to look at the things in the exhibition, to try and develop their observational skills and experiment a little bit with different media.
A bit freer, I think, yeah?
We'll try and have a look at the different surfaces as well and the detail.
1-minute drawings. Quickly as you can.
During the pre-site visit, it's really important to negotiate what your expectations are and what you want the outcomes to be for that group of students. We are the customers and they're supplying that need, and they're only too happy to tailor-make something to those specific requirements.
Second activity, we're down in the aquarium and the pupils are drawing live fish. Obviously the difference between here and upstairs is that the fish are moving, and the drawing should look very different. It's still based on observation, but trying to capture the feeling of movement and action rather than detail and a static object.
Students who aren't kept on task and motivated throughout the day can fall into mischievous behaviour or become bored, disengaged with the work that's going on. And this trip actually highlights how the pace is kept throughout the day so that each and every student is gaining something and they remain on task and focused.
Okay, so you've all got a piece of this with a drawing of some sort on it. Okay. What we need to do now is be able to print this. Now, I'm not pressing on hard when I'm doing this. I'm just letting the weight of the roller pick up the ink. Piece of paper over the top. Now, again, you can do it with your hands, but if you get a clean roller...
You can see it going through.
Yeah.
Yellow here.
Yeah? So you're going over the whole thing. The advantage of printing is you can do several pieces of work. Thing where you can see where it's patchy. Just use the flat of your hand like that. Don't press on too hard again.
The subject matter is crucially important when planning a trip, but it isn't the be-all and end-all. The wider educational gains from taking students away from school, away from the classroom, mixing with you in a different environment, outside their comfort zone, maybe your comfort zone, lets you see them grow, develop in a different light. And the little quiet mouse in the classroom can become quite a personality when they're given the opportunity to be creative on a trip such as this.
Today's trip's been a great success. Pupils have enjoyed it from what I've seen, and obviously we've got a lot of work to take back when we go, and that will be the real success we'll be seeing when we go back into school, and how much they've learned and how many skills they can take back with them, which they probably wouldn't have had in the classroom on this particular day.
It's very important when planning a trip that it does have a relevance, and particularly with secondary school students, they have got to have the what's in it for me factor. Why is this relevant? What part of the curriculum will I need this for? What about the future? How am I going to use this when I get back into school? So all these things have got to be thought through very, very carefully when planning the trip.